Hello, welcome to the 7th video in our series on how to construct high-quality lifecycle assessments, or LCAs, which you may or may not want to upgrade to an Environmental Product Declaration, or EPD. Just getting all the acronyms out of the way to start with, all right? So this module covers, this video rather covers A5 construction waste. Okay, it's part of the A5 group, which is part of the construction, the manufacture component of a life cycle assessment, and this one covers the waste element. Okay, so it's part of the LCA series. As I say, there's about 20 videos, give or take, in the series, and if you're interested in anything others, then there'll be links to the entire series, and you can jump around to find the bit you want to learn about. Okay, now with me is Rebecca Eccles and Louisa Hodge, who head up our LCA division. Becca is on camera, Louisa is here, but is off camera, so you won't see her. But say hello to prove you're here.
Hello.
There you go, and that wasn't AI dubbed in, that's a real Louisa Hodge sitting over in the background there. So, construction waste, what is it?
So this is any of the materials that are wasted at the construction site. So we'd expect to see the packaging being wasted here, and then any other construction waste that may have been accumulated.
Okay, great. It's designed to cover all the waste of a product, and a good example of what this is designed to cover is, if you say, for example, our oak table example, say I really go to town on the packaging, massive packaging, you can then see that when it's in the construction phase, they just throw that away, yeah? And if you cut down the packaging, it would impact the whole impact of your product in terms of its emission factors. So it's going to be a better product for the less kind of a more environmentally friendly packaging that you use. That's what this module's for. Okay. When we look at this, what data are we going to need for this module?
The data required in this section is the construction waste and the proportion for each component over the course of the year.
So I guess, for example, imagine that, I know we're talking tables in our sort of worked example, but imagine that you were manufacturing, for example, a cement that you use on the construction site, and a lot of the cement, for example, when you empty a bag, some of it was left in the bag at the end of is that kind of what percentages are left in the bag and that sort of stuff?
Yes, any additional materials you ordered to your construction site, if any of it's been off-cut or it's just been wasted, it's been lost, it's been spilt, that sort of thing
Right, okay, so it doesn't make it into the useful final intended purpose of the product. All right, yeah, I buy that. Okay, good. Accuracy and completeness, I guess in this is going to be another one of those areas where it's going to be difficult to get data, really precise data.
So ideally we want to have the 12 months worth of data, but I'm well aware some assumptions may need to be made here because you may not know what your customers are doing at each of your construction sites. So there'll be a lot of liaison, making assumptions, and basically just getting the best representative data you can get.
Yeah, my tip from earlier videos applies here as well, is that if you are asking your clients to provide you with data, so for example, how much cement did you spill? Yeah, they're unlikely to know straight away. So your assumptions when you first do this are going to be really quite coarse assumptions. You should write them down. Okay, that's my tip in terms of best practice, is write them down, so that if you are ever questioned on this, or a verifier wants to look at what you've done and why you've done it, you can actually show them, say, this is what I've assumed. That's tip one. Tip two is, get your clients involved sooner rather than later. If they know that you want this sort of data, they can maybe start recording it. Maybe they won't. Maybe they say, I'm sorry, we're too busy building something or whatever it's going to be. But, a lot of them might say, yeah, okay, we'll keep a note for you, or at least better records than they've got at the moment. One of the biggest problems in the whole of the sort of processing of carbon footprints generally is third parties and getting third parties to sort of come along on your journey with you. Okay, but there are a couple of sort of tips on best practices. What are the other best practices we can think of? Anything out there? They're two big ones from me. What about from yourself?
Yeah, I think they're the main ones, really.
Yeah, and Louisa, anything from you? Or
No, but you've covered them ones.
No, okay, fine. Okay. Well, in which case, why don't we have a look then at, the module in action? So why don't we have a look at how we can get data into the system?
Yes, so if we just click into Products Advanced, we'll continue with our oak table example that we've been working through in this video series. So if I click into Construction Waste, so here we'll see everything that we added into the construction module is going to appear here. And then also the packaging materials that we entered in A1, as when we're opening our product at this stage, we're going to throw away that packaging. It's not going to be carried through to the end product. So we just want to click into each of these. So our bolts, that's our construction material. So here we can just label it.
So say, for example, as I'm screwing the bolt in, 1 in every 20, do you know what? I strip the thread on it or something like that. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Maybe you dropped a P angular.
Me?
But yeah, so we just want to say the percentage of waste of those bolts. So very similar to the A3 waste module. So maybe it's just 2% of the bolts that are getting lost, they're broken, we can't use them. We know they're also made of steel. So if we just type in steel and waste, and I've got 9 results here. So if we just look through those, got some rest of the world results, we can just go for market of waste steel. Despite that, again, the software will do all the calculations in the background, so this is going to take into account the weight. The software will work all of that out for you.
So I can see in there you could have chosen recycle. So if you know that the end of life fate for this product is recycling or landfill, you could have chosen that on the drop down list. So okay, fine. Okay.
So again, we can click into our packaging component. So here we've got pallets. So again, similar thing, we can give it a name. Say what percentage of pallets are going to get wasted. So here we know it's going to be 100%. Yeah, so we can search on wood, and then we can put waste. So there's going to be plenty of options that come up here. So if we select United Kingdom, and then we've got market for wood waste. Again, you can go more specific here. So if you wanted a recycling, landfill, so on and so forth, maybe the UK won't have a factor for that. But if you're going to the rest of the world, global, Europe, and search for those more specific factors you may want.
And you're looking for the best factor you can find. It won't necessarily be the exact factor, but it's the best one that we've got.
It's the most representative factor that is available universally.
Okay.
And then again, we just press submit. And we do that for each of the packaging materials and each of the construction components. So for some construction components like electricity, there'd be no waste for that, so we don't need to worry about that. If you've got a lot of packaging materials, this list would end up being longer, as it would be if there's a lot of construction materials.
Okay, should we have a look at the effect on the LCA in total, as we're building this LCA up over time? There it is. Listed down there. Lovely. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. So we've covered what it is, how to use it, etc. The gotchas, I've said one of the gotchas is getting the data and making assumptions and making sure you write them down. Anything else you guys can think of?
No, it's just pretty much the data, really.
Data, and more data. All right. Well, look, in terms of summary then, how would you summarize this, A5 construction waste?
I summarize this module as anything wasted at the construction site, which would include your packaging, any construction materials that don't make it to the end product. So yeah, very, very simple module.
And we do it by looking at what percentage of each material is wasted and, sort of selecting one line for each one of those sort of wasted items in terms of percentage, and the system will work all out, but you will need to know the percentages, really. Yeah. Okay, fine. Good. Look, thank you very much for that. Look, I hope that was useful for you. If you've got any other questions about LCAs, lifecycle assessments, environmental product declarations, or any sort of other sort of carbon footprint or carbon accounting related sort of questions, do get in touch. That's what we're here for. And don't forget, we've got a team of fantastic sort of consultants here at Nistic. If you get stuck, they're there to help you. So apart from that, thank you very much for this. The next module is on construction transport. Again, another A5 module. That's the next video in this series, but It's thank you to Rebecca.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Louisa. And goodbye from now. See you next time.